Hi, Abby.
Hi.
So Abby and I, oh gosh, a bit of a long-standing one, hasn't it, Abby? Abby was my first sponsored rider, actually. And she's taught me as much over the years, actually, to be fair, as I may have helped her with, I think. And we're going to hear so much about Abby today. She's got the most amazing stories for us, incredible tales of her gorgeous horse, Nemo, and Blue as well. So Abby, just tell us a little bit about 6 years ago, what it was that meant that you got in touch with me for some mindset coaching.
So I think I'd already been through the rough and tumble with Nemo and all the beginnings, and I'd just started out on his eventing journey and mine really, and I think we were having problems with dressage. At that time, being run away with on cross country wasn't my issue. It was just the nerves in the dressage arena and dealing with not locking down and going and exploding during the 4 minutes of a dressage test, I think.
And I seem to remember the first time I came and saw you and Nemo, you couldn't get him out of medium trot.
Medium trotted everywhere. I've had medium trot down the centre line at the end of tests where judges and writers have gone like this. I mean, it's awesome medium trot. It just wasn't required at all. Yeah, and I just got stuck in medium trot everywhere and couldn't ride him forward because couldn't make he's long, he's like a double-decker bus, so you can't really ride his medium trot in a 20x40. I didn't really want to ride his medium trot in a 20x40, and the whole dressage situation was just a disaster really. So that's why I reached out to you.
And so tell us just really quickly what happened as a result. What was it that we changed for you? Because obviously it's mindset coaching, isn't it? It's nothing to do with skills. You've got plenty of those.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we worked on was like, that's his trot. Like, that actually isn't his medium trot. He's huge. I'm a dwarf. And just relax into it. And I think he was fighting for his natural stride. I was fighting because up until then, I think all I'd ridden were, I memean, phenomenal racehorses, but all I'd ridden was piddly little racehorses. And yeah, he's 17.2 and 7'3" long in the back. I just felt like every time I came into a turn, I was like, whoa, and legs were going everywhere. So we just did a lot in the menage, working on like, how do you feel in this? And actually, I didn't feel like I was getting run away with. It was just, I needed to get that into my head that I wasn't being run away with in trot.
Cool, and so that helped a lot. But that was like a tiny thing at the beginning of an unbelievable journey, wasn't it? So maybe yeah. I think we ought to start off by giving you the chance to just spend a few minutes telling us about Nemo, because he's such a special boy, isn't he? Tell us how Nemo came into your life and where, just really quickly, like where you're at now with him, the journey that you guys have
had. So, God, that's a long time ago. In 2012, I was freelancing. I'd just moved to Gloucester and kept driving past this field full of horses that looked, they weren't in a good state, shall we say, but they were big fat hairy cobs and they were surviving. And at the back of these big fat hairy cobs was what looks like, you know, the Black Swan. Is quite nice, but rough and ready, really skinny, really weird conformation as well. Like, yeah, he needed to grow into something. He was not, wow. So I started feeding it. I know that's the big no-no, but he was super skinny. He was the only one that couldn't get to hay or water. And yeah, he got iller and iller over the next 10 days. And I managed to contact the person who owned him, who had imported him into England and basically bought him. And yeah, that was the worst day of my life and the best day of my life. And now he is, why? Yeah, he's at 2-star. So yeah, that's a bit of a, it sounds really weird thinking of that memory on the 10th of October 2012 when I bought him, which is like, oh my God, I drank more brandy on that day. I've never shook so much. I've never been sick so much. I've never thought the world was going to implode as much as I did on that one day. To sat here, been like, I put a top hat and tailcoat on that scraggly little black swan, and I medium trotted down the centre line at that judge at Chatsworth, like, pow, look at this horse. Yeah, them two memories in the same sentence is ridiculous, madness.
We do keep saying, don't we, it's like a Disney film, isn't it? Because without going into too much detail, you nearly lost him on that first day and had to nurse him to life, really, didn't you? And so he owes you, well, no, he doesn't owe you anything at all, does he? But you really rescued that horse to make him what he is now, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's collapsed on the trailer and severed off half his hoof. He's the only horse known to reproduce the coronet band outside the womb of the mare. His chance of survival was 0, absolutely no chance. I slept in the stable with him for 3 months. October, November, December, it was cold, very cold. And after that, his chance of survival went up, but his chance of being ridden was never. Never going to be ridden, never going to be sound. He might look like a very crippled field companion, but that was better than, the other option.
And this is what, when you told me this story, because you'd only had him a few years when we met, hadn't you? And when you told me the story, this is the reason why I took you on, because I thought, my goodness, this girl has got tenacity. I mean, I've never met anyone like you, Abi. I've never met anyone just so determined, no matter what. And by goodness, you've had some things thrown at you along the way. Just keep going. I mean, if you want to learn how to keep going through adversity, then Abi's your girl. She'll teach you how to do it. So what would you say is your mindset, Abi, that keeps you going no matter what? And we could sit here and I could off the top of my head, I could name 6 different times when I know that anyone else would have given up and you kept going. Not just with Nemo, but with anything thrown at you in life and people and all sorts. So what's your mindset around it, do you think?
I think when I first started eventing him, I didn't really have a mindset focus, because it was more like, hey everyone, look at this horse that's here, like, wow, I can't believe he's here. And then after that, when it got serious, so it was like, he's actually quite good. Then it was a bit different, because it was like, okay, so in my section today I have Mary King, Oliver Townsend, long list of people. And actually, that reminds me of Camsden. I looked at my section list. I had got Mary King in my section list. And, Mary used to compete against my mum, and she's a phenomenal rider. She's my idol. He actually had a double page spread in Eventing Life after that, because my £1 rescue horse beat Mary King. But I struggled with that, because he shouldn't be there. Why is he there? I shouldn't be there. Like, it was very, I didn't want to be there. Yeah, that's the only way I can describe. I didn't feel like we deserved to be there. He wasn't a 15 grand 3-year-old imported from Germany with legs up to its armpits and muscles bulging in places that you don't know they've got. And I wasn't, just throwing money at entry fees and thinking, well, it doesn't matter. It mattered. It mattered a lot. And I had the little battle between whether I should be in their sections, whether he should even be eventing, or whether we just didn't do it, really. And I think you played quite a big part in that. But Nemo being Nemo always put two fingers up to the world and went, certainly should be here.
And so what did you do? Because you're not like that now, are you? You're back to your by hook or by crook, I'm doing it, guys, attitude. What changed for you?
Well, I think I only had the wobble for a couple of events. And then I was like, yeah, my horse is better than half of yours, and I only paid £1 for mine. That really helped a lot. But I think we've got a really weird relationship, me and Nemo. So I'm not a people person. I love people, don't get me wrong, just stay at a distance, don't hug me. Loving the COVID rules, absolutely loving the COVID rules. But horses are my thing. Animals are my thing. So if I've got a problem, I want to share it with a pony, not a person. If I want to cry, I'm going to do that at midnight in my stable, not at home with my partner. And I think we just had a little chat one night, and it was like knobs, you know, I'm getting you off the lorry, you look like the biggest bloody cart horse in the lorry park, I'm that loud northern lass in the corner giving, I don't know, novice a crack on this rescue pony. I mean, little bit crazy. And I just, from day one, he's always given me that feeling where you ask, I'll do, and we'll do it together. So I think after I had a little cry with my pony told me to man up, basically.
Yeah, and you and Nemo have definitely got that kind of relationship, haven't you? There's no doubt that he chats to you. And we know you chat to him.
Yeah, oh, I tell him everything. I'm just so glad he can't speak, because, yeah, there's some dire secrets there.
And so from that then, so you're at 2-star with him.
Yeah. And
what kind of obstacles have you overcome to get there? Because you've had quite a few things to keep going that would have stopped a lot of people.
Oh dear. So he was phenomenal at 100. Like, I mean, I've got pictures with him like 2 foot above the fences. Show jumping's always been his issue. Not anymore, may I add. And so we stepped him up to novice, and we went somewhere you don't go for your first novice. We went to Nunny International. And he did a okay dressage. In fact, no, he did a PB dressage in his first ever novice. So I came out like, wow, yeah, okay, we needed to step up. That's exactly what we needed to do. I think he only had about 2 or 3 poles in his first novice. So you know, happy. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Nunny, but the atmosphere around the show jumping is like a fire. You've got trade stands all the way round. You've got a big tunnel that you have to canter in. It definitely has the international wow feel when you're there. So I was really happy because we'd only got 3 show jumps at home at that point. So Nemo had never jumped a course of more than 3 at home in training. And yeah, he saw fillers the first time he competed, because I'm brilliant for preparation. Yeah, so to jump round there the way he did, I was just like, wow, yeah, fair play. And I set off cross country feeling amazing. He absolutely flew. I just remember jumping some of them fences that you don't want to jump at your first novice. And him being like, yes, with his legs up nice and high. And I just felt like I was cruising. And he's a high blower, so he makes a lot of noise when he's galloping. And to from home, he just went a little bit flat, is the only way I can describe it. Nunny's really hilly. It's a really long it's a really long course. It's really hilly. They have to be as fit as a fiddle to get round there. And to from home, he was still keen in the bridle, which really confused me. I know why now, because he won't say no to anything. So he's really keen into the bridle. I took my leg off. He was still keen into the bridle. He just stretched his neck out a little bit, which was fine. I thought he was a little bit tired, but for his first novice round that track, I expected him to be hanging at about fence 11, to be honest. And just coming into the last, I just half halt to make sure their eyes are on the fence. It's less of a half halt and a more like, hey, look what's coming. And as I went, hey, he never lifted his head. So we were too close to do anything about it, and upside down we both went at the last fence at our first novice. Absolutely gutted. And it transpired from that Mr. Nemo, pain in the arse, had actually got a really bad breathing issue. Not that he would let anyone know about that. And he was landoscopied by, because he's my precious horse, the breathing specialist that actually invented the breathing up, Jeff Lane. I had the specialist come over and landoscopy him. And Jeff Lane said to me, please don't turn this horse out when we leave. And I was like, what? He's just jumped round Nunny. What are you on about? He said he'll have a heart attack. He can't breathe. So, yeah, literally I was petrified. And Jeff told me that if I didn't know he'd just jump round Nunny, I would tell you that it wouldn't jump round a cross-country course, let alone that one. So off he went down to Jeff Lane's, and he had a double tie back, which is usually unheard of, but the laryngeals were awful, and they did basically that instead of that. So he was breathing through a straw hole. He had a hob day to make more room for air, and he also had his soft palate cauterized, because during this, that wasn't letting enough oxygen in, his soft palate, the roof of his mouth, is all linked to the same nervous system, would collapse to his tongue and cut off his airways completely, which was why he couldn't jump the last fence. So he had extensive surgery, and yeah, that was horrible. I actually didn't know whether to drop him off for the surgery or not, and I did actually pull off the motorway and go round the roundabout 3 times with my mum screaming at me, because I'd have much rather not have entered him than put him through the surgery, if I'm honest. Looking back now, I'm very glad I did.
And I remember we had conversations, didn't we, about whether he owed you anything, whether you should have put him through it, because your dream of, badminton is your dream, isn't it? Like so many eventers, professional eventers. And, you probably weren't going to get there with him. So what was, should you do? And it was a really difficult time, wasn't it? But now, knowing that you overcame that and you did it, what's your thinking about it now? What advice would you, maybe not advice, but what's your thinking about it now?
I think if you've got options out there, like I had Jeff, then it at the time what I had to look at was his quality of life. If I hadn't have gone for the surgery, was that he was going to gallop around in the field and have a heart attack. So we were back to like 3 years previous to like your quality of life is zero. So that is the only reason I stopped going round the roundabout and got back on the motorway and dropped him off at Jeff's, because my mum was screaming at me, well, so what if you can't event him, but you can't turn him out and you can't keep him on box rest forever? And she was right, but I was so scared of losing him in surgery, really selfishly, not because I couldn't event him or because he couldn't be a field companion, but I was losing my absolute best mate, and my secret holder and the person that I talk to when I'm upset. And really weird.
And so after that, that was another one of those times I get these phone calls from you when you go, you will never believe what my horse has done. You will never believe how fast he's healed. You will never believe he's rewritten the rule books again, guys. He's another case study that people won't ever think happened. So having the first time you got him, you know, he grew the coronet band back, which had never been heard of. Then he had a double tie back. And then how fast he healed from that was just incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were told 3 months to be back in full work. And Jeff couldn't really give me that much, you know, obviously from the best surgeons, you want to hear, oh my God, horse will be completely different after this. It'd be like riding a brand new horse. And Jeff couldn't really say that because there'd been extensive damage done from eventing him anyway. He'd got scar tissue. So there wasn't really, you know, it would make a difference, but what difference, how much difference wasn't really available to me. I wasn't privy to that information, and I don't think Jeff really knew either. I don't know really. He came back from that. I think we were back in full work on day 21. And he had a huge double spread article written about him in one of the Vet Life magazines, because his recovery was just unheard of. To be back in full work day 21, completely healed, hob day healed, soft palate healed, tie back healed, it back in full work. Jeff came out and saw him and landoscopied him and was like, I don't know what you've done, keep going, crack on. That was awesome.
And one of the things I know that's always really, really helped you overcome obstacles is the incredible team you've got around you, because over the years, I have seen you time and time again go to your team that support you in whatever expertise they've got and ask them for whatever support they need. So with me, it was, you know, the phone calls sometimes for the cross country going, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I shouldn't even be feeling this way, or whatever it was. And we'd have a chat. And I know that Fotizo was a massive part of helping his healing in that time as well, wasn't it? Because they're part of the team.
Yeah. And I pride myself on my team. So although you won't admit it, you've dealt with a lot more phone calls than about cross country. You've had to deal with about dressage, and you know, the sitting on the ramp before I go cross country going, oh really? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. All the things, money struggles even, you know, when I put his surgery on my mother's credit card because mine was maxed, like that wasn't happening. Saying, should I event? I can't afford to event him. Why am I eventing him? You've dealt with a lot more than just a couple of phone calls about cross country or dressage. So I take my hats off to you. You've put up with a lot. But Photizo played a massive part. They are red light therapy. Anything I needed to help that horse, it was there. Without a doubt, it was there. And the circle that I have around me is very special. I don't let many people into my little box. And the ones I do are like you. You've been here 6 years. I can't get rid of you. You're practically part of the furniture in the lorry now when we go everything. You know, Ruth has been with us, I think, 6 years as well. And so have the rest of them. I mean, we've built really good friendships. Not, you know, forget the business side of things. I'm friends with you guys. If I've got other problems, other things that I want to talk to you about, you're all there across the board. That's all of them. And I think that's the most important thing when you're budget eventing and you're eventing things that have like 3 legs, that the team around you, because it's mentally draining. It is, yeah, it's mentally draining.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? That for you, your sponsors, whether they're sponsors or your team or whoever you've got around you, they're the ones that keep you going. They lift you up when you need it. They support you when you want it. And it's not about having a bit of free product or writing a blog here and there, is it? For you, I think when you're on a real budget, because you know you have been on a massively tight budget for years and years, and to achieve what you have has been careful consideration. You know, loads of things you've had to sacrifice and do all sorts just to get to this goal that you're so determined to get to. That actually having that team to keep you going and help you in whatever way we can is more important than a bit of free kit and things, isn't it? So when we're talking about riders, about your sponsor and your team and, you know, and being an ambassador or anything like that, what would be your kind of thoughts around that side of things? So I know you've been in all sorts of different positions around stuff like that, haven't you?
Yeah. With my sponsors journey, I've been incredibly lucky. I have some phenomenal sponsors. My biggest thing is I don't need pressure from you guys. So if you're going to pester me over a $5.99 product that I've got to blog about 3 times a week, right? I've got to write posts about, I've got to do all of that. I don't want it. I don't want it, right? What I want is support. I want you to want to help me. I want to help you. It's a team thing. I don't need pressure. I've got enough pressure. I like pressure, but I like my own pressure. I don't need someone breathing down my throat over a bit of saddle soap. You know, I just don't need it. And I think when you realize your own worth, and that is definitely a thing. Because I see the young kids doing it all the time, like for a $5.99 product, they'll be all over the internet, and that is mentally draining. If you're too busy doing that, how do you train? You just can't do it. And I want people that want to put their products on my horse or on me and support me because they want to be part of that journey. And wherever I go, I take you guys. I always have. Wherever you guys go, you take me. And that's how a rider will go higher, because they have the support, not the badgering. I mean, if you guys turn around to me and were like, oh, if you're not at 2-star by the end of the year, I don't see how this relationship progresses. Wow, like you've already got the obstacles of how do you go from jumping 1 meter to 1.15 meters and improve the dressage and improve the cross country and improve the show jumping. You don't need the added pressure from a sponsor. And I think sponsors like that get caught out very quick and nobody wants them.
Yeah, and it's definitely a two-way thing as well, isn't it? So, you know, my guys, my ambassadors, my sponsors, you guys are very much a team. Like, you know, we even sit there at the moment during coronavirus, don't we, and have a glass of wine or a gin together and catch up on Zoom. Yeah, I'm not even mentioning that, Abby. We're not even going down what on earth you are drinking right now. It's been a long-standing thing, but, you know, needs must at the moment. I'm letting it go. But yeah, and as a sponsor, you know, we want our riders to want to have us in the team. We want them to be coming to us for support and advice, and, you know, not feel like we're being used for product or free stuff, you know, because it is that two-way thing, isn't it? And there's an awful lot going around at the moment about how to be a great ambassador or a great sponsor, and I think it's the same for the, you know, it's a two-way thing, isn't it? So anyway, so that's really cool. And I do love having you as part of the team. It's always a laugh a minute. We always have fun. Then we've been through the dark times, haven't we? We have had some very difficult conversations about things, and, you know, there have been times when I've got off the phone and thought, God, flipping heck, you know, what's next? Like, really, anything else? And
worst conversation we had was definitely in 2018, by long shot, and that was nearly as hard as the beginning with this horse. And I actually don't know what sort of conversation we had. It was in dribs and drabs, I think, because I wasn't really quite with it at that point either. But yeah, I think you just opened up and said, I think you just need to look at lots of different things rather than just focus on one bad thing.
yeah, and also, I mean, we've been talking about Nemo, but another fabulous horse is part of your life as well, which is Blue. So tell us a little bit about how Bluebee came into your life. Gorgeous. I love a grey.
Oh dear, another nightmare. No, he's not. He's lovely. So I bought Blue off 2 Olympic team riders, you know, because why not? Yeah. As well known to deck people. I love a challenge. And he had an injury and was recovering from his injury, and they didn't want to get back on him. So he jumped around some good tracks, but he was young, he was very big, very dangly and very naughty. So I went to look at him and they wouldn't let me ride him. It took 2 men to hold on to the lead ropes either side of the chiffony to trot him up for me. And it reared and bounded down the yard and there was legs flying everywhere. And I just went, oh my God, put it on the lorry. Yeah, why? What was I thinking?
I have to say, when you tell me about him, I often have this thought in my mind, though, Abby. I often think to myself, why? What? And then I think, well, it's Abby. Like, she must have some reason, some thoughts. You're a much more experienced rider than I am in any means. So you must have seen something that made you think, I want that. But most of us would have gone, no, put it away, thanks. What on earth possessed you, Abby? He's lovely.
I think I was horse sick. Nemo had just ruptured his SI at Bicton. So he was at Hartbury on the water treadmill at that point in time in his rehab. And I was on my way to Hartbury to go and check on Nemo, because I won't leave Nemo anywhere without checking on him. Never. So on my way to Hartbury, I went to look at this horse and I took the lorry because I thought, if it's cheap and it's nice, then brilliant. And oh God, it was so pretty. Oh wow, Jesus, it had legs up to its ears. It had a body like a racehorse, and oh, I just looked at it and thought, wow, you could jump the moon. And he had these horrible little feet, they're about that big, on these massive great big legs that went I don't know where, and this gorgeous face. I mean, he looks like a oil painting, and he's a shitbag. basically. He knows he's gorgeous, and when he books and he does all his stunts, he looks phenomenal. So everybody always remembers when you fall off it. But yeah, they trotted him up and he came at me with these legs flying out. And I didn't see all the naughty. I mean, it was being naughty. It took two big blokes to trot him up for me. And I literally dropped the ramp and was like, on you go. Kick the crap out of my lorry all the way home. Got him home, put him in the stable. And that lasted, I don't know, 2 days, because I'd gone through about 3 tubes of settling. It box walked, it tried to jump the door, it bit me. It was vile. So I turned it out in the field and left it. And funnily enough, I bought him in October as well, because it's an October thing. So everyone tries to lock me in the house now for the month of October, because I'll go and buy something crazy. So I turned him out and in October, and I left it. I took its shoes off and I left it until January. And he didn't think much to that. He'd not had much turnout. So he stood at the gate. He tried to jump the gate. He did jump the gate. And I just put it back and left it there. And yeah, January of that year started a whole new page for that horse.
And so where's he at now? We don't need the middle bit. We know you, my crook, you went through some stuff with him as well. And where's he at now?
So he will, if COVID wasn't going on, I was going to jump round 2-star this year with him. He's phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. There was reasons behind his behaviour that we fixed, and I wasn't as big or as strong, because I'm a dwarf. I wasn't as big or as strong that I could make him do his job. And I don't want to make anything do its job. I want my horses to love me, and I want them to go, what, you want me to jump this, Mum? Yeah. I don't want to have to like bash them down a line into a jump thinking you're going to go or else. That's never been my way of riding. And that's why I'm crap at producing horses to sell, because I won't do it in 4 weeks. I can't do it in 4 weeks, and I don't want to do it in 4 weeks. I will buy them, like I bought Blue, who was to be sold as a junior's horse. And yeah, you know, he booked me off 32 times in a month, sometimes twice a day. I mean, and I just kept getting back on. Idiot, absolute idiot. But it's because deep down, I knew that he was really smart. I mean, the day you came to see him and I put the saddle over the door and it fly booked in the stable for 15 minutes, and you looked at me and went, are you getting on that? And the answer was, yeah, I'm just going to leave it to book, and when it's finished, it'll be fine. And you were like, what are you doing? Like, I thought you said this was a really good horse. And then he came out and he was, and you were like, oh, wow, yeah, that's quite nice.
If I hadn't have seen him, I'd have honestly thought someone had done a quick swap.
Yeah. And that horse needed to be loved. That's all he needs. And that's why he probably should have gone up for sale this year after jumping round 2-star, and he's not. So yes, my produce to sell is not for sale. But if my husband is watching this live, he is, for a little bit more than I paid for him. To the right person.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, though, isn't it, Abby? You've got this amazing attitude. I know you were brought up, your mum was a Pony Club DC. She's a scary lady, gorgeous lady, but my word, you wouldn't say no. And you know, but you've been brought up with this ethos, haven't you, of you've got to listen to the horse, they're trying to tell you something, there's probably something going on there, they're not just being an arse. Sometimes they might be having an argument, fair enough, but it's for a reason, and you look into that, don't you, and you work out what it is that they need.
Yeah, I mean, back in my pony club days, funnily enough, because you had her on the other day, my mum was head of South Notts Pony Club. So the only people that would teach me at Pony Club, because I knew more than most of the instructors as a 10-year-old, so they didn't want to come anywhere near me, was Caroline Moore. She taught me. And I had a cracking pony, and Caroline quite liked my pony. But I think from a very young age, I've been surrounded by really good people. So we had Mennel Watson on the yard when I was 4, and he caught me getting on my 11-2 pony with baler twine round its neck, pulled it up against the chestnut fencing and was just climbing on, because I don't have a problem with that. I'd much rather lay, on my pony, and just feel what's what. The same with Nemo. I think I found out more about Nemo and what he got going off laid in the stable or sunbathing in the field with him than I do riding him, because under saddle he puts on his brave face and his war armor, I think his tack is, where he's like, I can take on the world, I'm fine. And you're like, no, your leg's hanging off. And he's like, absolutely don't care. And the other horse is not like that. He's a girt wimp. But I learned with him that was exactly the same. He needed me to sit in the stable with him and eat my breakfast, and he'd pull faces at me and get out. I don't want you in here. And I'd be like, I'm not going. I'm staying. You're not getting rid of me. I think for the first year I actually had that horse, couldn't brush him, because you went in, you tacked up and you did your job, because he's a machine, and I was like, you're not, you're a human. You absolutely have personality. I'm going to pull it out you any way I can. I'm going to drag it out you. And he bit me, he weaved, he box walked, he kicked. You walk in with the saddle and he'd turn his bum on you and double barrel you, like, get out. So I didn't bother with the tack and I just laid with him. Drank my Red Bull in the morning with him, did the waters in the field and just sat in there, and he never came anywhere near me for a year. Wasn't interested. And now he's like a lap dog, can't get rid of the damn thing.
Oh, bless him. I kind of get why we stick with you so long as sponsors now, actually, to be honest, because I think I get the tenacity. I think that's what it is. No, I'm not going anywhere. Tough, you're just going to get used to this. So I just wanted really, really quickly, because a part of a chapter of your story that was just incredible, and we just got a few minutes to cover it, was your charity race, because that came up on our timeline a little while ago, wasn't it? Because that was this time a few years ago, wasn't it? So you did the Bob Champion Wilbury Wonder Pony, the first one of the amateur races that they did, didn't it? That was incredible. Tell us a little bit about that.
So that was for Hannah Francis, and we'd all got our Wilbury Wonder ponies and we were all doing our bit anyway. I know you were with flying changes, and I certainly was with my Nemo berry, and the opportunity came up to apply for it. And I mean, there was Mark Todd and Ben Hobday and Tina Cook and Abi Dean, all in this race. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll apply. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. They bloody said yes. Jesus. And I had worked in racing, quite successfully worked in racing, for I worked for Henry Cecil, who's the best flat trainer ever to walk this planet, which many people will tell you. But God, I'd not sat on a thoroughbred for years. And I don't know what came over me. I really don't. But for whatever reason, I thought it was a good idea. And I think when I got the confirmation email, I rang you and was like, all right, Jen, guess what? I'm doing a flat race at Cheltenham. And you were like, what? Like, where did this come from? We're working on your dressage. What? I mean, totally different ends of the scale. What are you doing, woman? And then I explained what it was for, and you were like, wow, gotta be there. So I got in touch with Graham McPherson, who is a national hunt trainer, and he sorted me out with a really good horse. And I was like, yes, I am gonna win this. And midway through the training and the running up to that, it got injured. So I went from a really good chance of doing very, very well to being given my backup horse, which was an old hag, basically. Good old Harry Hunt. He was a 3.5 miler. My race was over 1.5 miles. So straight away, my chances, woo! And he was a national hunt horse, so he did 3.5 miles over fences. There was no fences. And here it is, I think his last 2 runs, he pulled himself up. Not interested. And I said to Graham, really, this? And he was like, well, you're a bit like his last chance. And I thought, this reminds me of something. Yeah. So I went, and I then decided that I was going to ride Harry every single day because I wanted to know him. I wanted to know what made him tick. So in between the event horses and work and everything else, children, the whole lot, I then went and rode out at Graham McPherson's at Stowe in the World every single day. And I remember being at Cheltenham and Graham saying to me, whatever you do, don't hit him because he'll just pull himself up. He's not interested. He said, you'll probably come round the corner to come up the home straight in last. And just sit there because there's nothing you can do. And I thought, no, I can't do that. How do I come round the corner and sit there and do nothing? It's not in me. It's not in me. I have to fight back. I can't be last. I can't be last and know I've sat there and done nothing anyway. And Jenny was there. She was the rowdiest person in the crowd. Don't let her have you fooled. And I have the video evidence before she denies this. And I jumped off, and Graham was right. I jumped off about 3 from last. And as we went round the back of the race course, I think I went back to last. And he felt really good. And he'd always been ridden by men. They'd never thought to change his jockey. And I said, come on, Harry. And he did. He picked up nicely for me. So I rejoined the pack, should we say. And as we came round the home turn to come up the famous Cheltenham Hill, I said, come on, Harry, let's go. And he said, oh, we've got another lap. I said, no, now. And he absolutely pissed up the home straight for me. I mean, this old crippled nag, he flew. And to finish 4th up Cheltenham home straight on the oldest horse in the race, that was, I mean, I think he was bettered last by the bookies to finish last. Came 4th. And I remember riding into the winner's enclosure at Cheltenham Racecourse. And wow, that was, I mean, it's a bucket thing, isn't it? You know, the bucket list things that people have. I don't have them. And I thought about it afterwards, and I thought if I had a bucket list, that would have been on it. But I've done it now anyway, so.
Yeah, and you had some incredible feedback as a result of that as well, didn't you? About
Yeah, Harry's owners, I don't think I've ever been squeezed as tight as I was squeezed that day. I thought she was going to pop my head off. I was already practically needing an oxygen tent after coming up Cheltenham home straight anyway. They decided he was going to retire after the charity race, and they decided that he wasn't going to retire after the charity race. And they had a bit of a mix up with his jockeys, and he came out and he won his next race under rules over the fences, and he retired gracefully to the lovely Steph who led me up at Cheltenham, and she is now doing ROR riding, racehorse to riding horse, and yeah, so me and Steph share some good memories, and I do still get updates on how he is, which is quite nice. But he'd lost his love of racing, and I just wanted to win. But you don't win by beating them up there. You just needed a bit of TLC, a woman's touch.
And I love that, and it's clearly a theme that's come through every story you've told us today about all your different horses and the different you've done. I'm sure there are many more, and we could talk for hours, but we can't. The overarching theme with you is have the determination to overcome things and think about the bigger picture when you've got something to think about, but at the same time you've got to really think of that animal and that they're a live being, and what is it that they need. And so often it sounds to me like what they need is someone just to listen. Even if you make them.
And sometimes riders have got to shut up and listen as well, because after 2018, when I went blind in my left eye, I could not ride a 10-metre circle left back to the track. And I kept trying to make it happen, and make the turns. And actually how it happened is because I shut my eyes and let my horse do it. So if you're struggling with something, actually get the horse to do it for you rather than you try and make it happen. And both of my horses, even my naughty grey who hated me, will ride all my half 10-metre circles for me. I don't look where I'm going because I can't see, so there's no point. And they all do it for me, and they've all got self-preservation, so they never put themselves in harm's way. So sometimes I think just ask for a little bit of help, because they're not going to kill themselves to get one over on you.
I love that. And again, and it's that thought again, isn't it, of that trust that you build with your horse is going to outlast anything else that you do, isn't it?
100%, yeah.
Cool. So is there anything else, Abby, that you wanted to ask or tell us about while you've got the opportunity? We've covered so much today, haven't we?
Yeah. Just because of the confidence things that you do, I would like to touch on that fall in 2018, but I don't want to go too deep into the drama.
Okay. Yeah, so tell us a little bit of that. We've got a few minutes left, so just tell us a little bit, because it is a part of your story. It's just we have to be a bit careful with it, because some people could say it's sensationalizing or being stupid or whatever, but it's not, is it? It's you yet again overcoming another obstacle.
And it really does touch on the mindset.
It does.
Because I think it was actually a little bit of my mindset and things that, one, made it happen, but two, has made me a better rider for it. So don't know why took Nemo back to Nunny. Ended up having a rotational at fence 11. And he was meant to be in the intermediate that day, and I'd only dropped him down to do the novice because Blue was doing the novice. And he overreached and he stood on his own front foot at a downward canter to another fence, and we ended up in a pile. I got airlifted. Pretty scary stuff. But as I was galloping round to that fence, I think I got to fence 9, huge steeplechase fence, and we just flew. The strides had been perfect. He was giving fences air. And as I jumped the combination at 10, and I landed and I cruised. I knew this horse should have been in the intermediate, absolutely flying. And I don't know whether that changed my posture, whether I said to the horse, nah, this is easy, or what. But the next combination at fence 11, I was still riding. I was still doing everything right. He was still galloping. He was still doing everything right. He just overreached, and it was just one of those things. And anyway, airlifted. I had a fractured skull, bleed on the brain, eye socket, nose. That looked a picture. And unfortunately, shortly after that, Nemo broke his leg. So during my recovery, I couldn't ride my trusty chestnut. I had to get on my horrible grey that bucks me off all the time, which wasn't ideal. And for people struggling with confidence, I got on that horse. I put my foot in my stirrup, got on. And you'll all have your own little thing that you do when you get on, subconsciously. I'm aware of this because of Jenny, that you do when you get on, and you don't know you do it until you can't do it again. So I got on and I put my feet in my stirrups, and the first thing I do is check my knees to make sure I'm square. And I looked down and I couldn't see my left knee, couldn't see the left side of the saddle, left horse's shoulder, nothing. And I went, no, and I got that sudden urge of panic where you've got to get off, because it's like you're on a sinking ship. Like, whoa, no, that's not nice. And I was told to go for a hack and don't come back until you have gathered your stuff together by Mummy Bear. Yeah, it was a bit more forceful than that, but it yeah. So I just went off for a hack, and by the time I came back, I was fine. And I was fine hacking in walk, let me just say. And over the period of the next month, I could jump right. I could jump and turn right and jump, and that was fine. But couldn't jump left. And that's a big problem because not all your coursers are right-handed, unfortunately. And that was probably the hardest month of my life, because I'd jump and I'd have to turn left, and I couldn't see the jump that I was turning to, which creates a problem because I can't get there. And a rider's job is to get there. The horse does the jumping, but I couldn't get there. So I had to figure out how to do that. So for the next month, all I did was jump left. I never jumped right. I jumped left. I refused to jump grids because they were the scariest thing in the world, because the only way I can describe it to you is 5 strides away from a fence, I can see the whole fence. And with every stride thereon the horse takes, I lose proportions of the fence. And by the time I get there, I can see everything to the right of me. I can't see what's in front of me pony. So I didn't jump grids because I could see the one at the end, but my horse was jumping. So I was like, oh, no. And I sat and cried my eyes out in the menage, and I would just get off and cry. And then I would give myself a bit of a pep talk about, well, what are you going to do? Sell them? Who'd buy them? Who wants that grey that bucks? Who wants a horse with a broken leg, half a foot, no throat? You know, who wants them? I can't bloody give them away. So I'd get back on and kept trying. And I remember booking in for Aston to go and do the novice. Idiot. Because I was so determined that after everything that had gone on, I am not going back to 100 or 90 and starting all over again. I pride myself that my riding comes from feel. So if I want to put my word, you know, what is it? You know, actions speak louder than words or whatever it is.
Put your money where your mouth is. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I got to suck it up and ride from feel, hadn't I? Because I couldn't bloody well see anymore. So I booked him in for a novice, and then I looked at the dressage test and thought, balls. Because I'd got to leg yield out on the right rein, which meant turning back on the left rein. And I can't see the boards. So I had to, we put poles down. The amount of times I've gone through the poles, I just could not stay inside of the boards. And I thought, I'm going to get eliminated in the dressage. 100 quid to go and get eliminated in the damn dressage. And I was quite about it. I was so angry with myself. I felt like I was letting my horses down, and that, you know, that was it. You know, it was make or break. So, you know, everyone always says, you know, oh, Abi, she's made of tougher stuff. But actually, was I? Am I? So I cried a lot in the menage, threw a lot of tantrums. And my training sessions in the menage would consist of about 3 hours. And that was usually an hour on the horse, an hour sat on the floor crying, 15 minutes on the horse, an hour sat on the floor crying. And then my mum came down to help me, and she said, why are you trying to force this turn? Because you don't even know what that turn is. You can't see it. And I said, why no? But I know it's there, you know, like, oh, turn. And the horse is like, oh, what? You know, what are you doing? So she said, leg yield out to the centre line. And as soon as you hit the centre line, put the aids on for a half circle and shut your eyes. And I thought, yeah, I tell you what, anyone that has shut their eyes on this grey, I'll give you 200 quid. Huh? Yeah. And mum saying, oh, I'll shut up. That's all you've got. So just get on with it. One of them. And I sucked it up and I leg yielded out, and I thought, I'll show you, because this is going to go so wrong. And I leg yielded out and I shut my eyes and I put my inside leg on, and I did the most beautiful half circle back to the track, nowhere near the poles, because I was allowing the horse to see the poles for himself. And that was that. So I took him to Aston. Didn't get eliminated in the dressage. The judge must have thought there was something very wrong with me, because I think I did half my test with my left eye completely shut. Flew around the show jumping, and the best thing was walking the cross country at Aston, and there was some fence judges that were there at Nunny where I'd had my fall. And fence judges and eventers are very good friends. That always look after your fence judges, because when shit hits the fan, they're the first people to you. Yeah. So if they like you, that's a bonus. Yeah, nobody was kicking me in the head whilst I was down because they like me, which really helped. And I walked the cross country, and not one of them, and this is the eventing community for you, not one of them said a negative thing. They were all like, yes, Abi, so good to see you back. And I was like, yeah. And I tried to do the, you know, the northern exterior, like, yeah, I'm going to be grand. And inside I was thinking, shit, because there's so many skinnies on the course at Aston. So if they're you know, 4 foot wide. I can only see 2 foot of it. So I got to be pretty precise on my execution. And I jumped out the start box and got a great big cheer from the starter, who started me several times at Aston, and I was very happy about that. And as I started going round, my confidence, I could feel it like a tube inside me growing and growing and growing and growing. And as I got to the skinnies, my favourite fence judge, Jack and Barbara, were on there. And as I came round, they were whooping at me, which was all I needed for my concentration. And my mum was stood there. So I had that look of, I need to get it right because mum's watching. And the fence judges, who couldn't give a monkeys if I got it wrong, they were just so glad to have me back. And when I heard that where people they just wanted it to work for me because of what the last few months had been like, God, I sailed round. And, you know, it might have only been a novice, but that was the most beautifully ridden clay cross country I think I'd ever done, because I had to be so precise with my lines, and I enjoyed it. So after that, thought I'm not going to do another novice, and I booked Nemo in for a 2-star at Chatsworth. And yeah, so he recovered from a broken leg, and off we went to Chatsworth.
And the rest is history, as they say.
Literally.
Yeah. So if we weren't in Corona right now, what would you be doing with the 2 boys this season?
Nemo would be at 2-star, so I'm not even going to entertain another novice with him. I just want to have a stick at 2-star and see what happens. Blue is 2-star. I was hoping to be at 3-star with him by the end of the year, if I'm honest. And with Nemo, there's no rush. He will be where he decides to be. We will go where we end up. And I don't make a plan for that horse, because if I do, we'll destroy it. So we kind of wing it by the seat of our pants, I'm afraid.
Yeah, as Nemo doesn't know you anything now, does it? And we've had so many conversations about, is this the end? Is he going to retire? Do we carry on? And things like that. That actually now it's just because, you know, I'm going to enjoy Nemo, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I did a really silly thing. I went and had a play at dressage not that long ago as well. And this scruffy eventer that cost me £1 went out and won his first medium. So, you know, if he can't event anymore, then we'll do dressage, or, I don't know, play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with show jumping poles or something. You know, we'll do whatever. He owes me nothing. He'll die here with me. He's never going anywhere. But the grey, that owes me a lot. That better bloody well jump round 3-star when this COVID's over, I'm telling you. No, he doesn't. But my badminton dream for Nemo is a dream, but it won't be that horse, I think.
Yeah, and we discussed this though a long time ago, didn't we, when we talked about your dream being badminton? And of course it would have been amazing if it been Nemo, and we always joke that we'd make a film out of it if it was, because of the story and what he's been through and what you've been through. Incredible. It's like Disney couldn't write it, you know. But at the end of the day,
one day he will get to badminton one day, because he's the lorry companion as well. What people don't know about him is he travels the wheels off my lorry, because he's the calmest, most sensiblest, most well-behaved. Just, he is the perfect horse. So everything that's a little shit gets escorted everywhere by this massive rescue horse. So if Blue gets to badminton, Nemo will be there anyway. So I said it was going to happen. It will happen. He just might not be jumping round.
And that's the thing with goals, isn't it? Is that actually sometimes they need to be a little bit vague, because that's the most important part about them. But so your badminton dreams are still there, and whether it be Blue that gets you there, or whether there be something else that comes along, your dream is still there, and by hook or by crook that will happen. There's no doubt, is there?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Abi. I've absolutely loved hearing more of your stories and catching up with you. And everyone said, wow, Nemo sounds incredible. He must be, his attitude must be insane. They love being part of the team, and that your cheer team is so important. So thank you so much, Abi, for everything. We're going to cut off for now. As always, we've gone over. I thought we might do so. We haven't done too bad. It was only 10 minutes more than I planned. So that's not bad at all, considering the length of some of our conversations. So thanks so much, Abi. And if anyone wants to ask you any questions, how can they get hold of you?
Abi Dean Eventing on Facebook, or Abi Dean Eventing website. You can pop me a private email on there, or my personal Facebook, which is just Abi Dean. But yeah, drop me a message if you're struggling with any of the things that I have struggled with. I am that rider that you can come to, and I will always be that rider that you can come to. And if I can help you, I will.
Yeah, and I mean, I know certainly you've done my camps and things with people, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work at first, because I know you're very straight talking, and I did say, oh gosh, I hope she's not going to scare them all. But I can tell you are one of the favourite instructors from that, and I know you've kept in touch with loads of people, and some of them are on the live now watching too, and it's just been incredible to see you help them with their confidence massively, because even though you've done what you've done and you've been where you have and you've got the background you have, you still can understand people and confidence, and just do incredible things together. So thank you so much, Abi. Do get in touch if you've got any questions for her. We cannot wait to wheel her back out again, hopefully for August camp. Fingers crossed it's going to go ahead. But yeah, so we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.